Welcome back, everybody, to another week of Deconstruction Junction here in Love and Action Network, where we seek to equip, encourage, and empower bold dreamers to use their time, talent, and treasure for good. And also, welcome back to the Love and Action TV and podcast. I'm Dr. Flo, online coach and mentor. It's always a thrill to co-host with the lovely lady on the screen, the Tara Praolo Studio. What's good in the hood?
There was a cue. For good.
For those of you who are wicked crazed.
What's the words of that song?
Because I knew you.
I have
been changed
for
good.
Y'all, we need science. We need a scientist to let us know why Dr. Flo always takes the top note and I always take the bottom note. We need a scientist in the space. Nothing's good. No, everything's good. What are y'all grateful for? Put it in the chat. Also, thank you for making me big as I wipe away my mascara from yesterday. I'm Tara Priolo. I'm your resident white-facing, biracial, multi-passionate musician, and I talk about the issue that nobody wants to talk about and push you to the same. And I'm really happy to be here with Dr. Flo and Love and Action Network and all that jazz. And I have all next week off from my studio, so prepare to be sick of me. And also bring your deconstruction things, DM us about it, get involved. I was also watching this video literally right before we got on here, and it's not in our deck for today, but I'm going to tell you all about it because she was Jamila, I think her name is Jamila. I can't quite remember, but anyway, she was talking about how if you do not have the level of friendship with your Black friend of Mr. Incredible and Frozone, you are doing it wrong. And I'm gonna let
Who are those people?
Mr. Incredible is the white man that fronts the movie. Oh shit! You okay?
What movie?
Over The Incredibles and The Incredibles 2. So she was saying, Jamila was saying that in the first Incredibles, when the evil dude is hunting down all the superheroes, Mr. Incredible goes into his system and looks up his wife, and then Frozone, and also I guess and the little baby Jack. They call Frozone Uncle Lucius, and so I bringing it to the pod / the TV. The show, the TV show.
The TV show podcast.
It might be a mess today. Dr. Flo had me in a room earlier that so it might, today might be a little bit of slap happy, okay?
I don't know why I'm receiving blame for it. We were just listening to the great Black trans woman T.S. Madison.
Yes, Madison.
Who is liberated in their whole throat chakra and in their throat altogether. And I just think that it's wonderful. Anyway, you've been introduced to us. The reason why I left this particular slide with your name here is because that spot's going to have many guests who will be here along with us very soon to talk on the podcast. So I wanted to leave that spot open to make space for the people who are coming. And now I want to make space for our first topic. So this was a topic from last week, and some would say that would be crass to start here this week. There is this televangelist guy, you all, who, well, he is built like a football player. And I actually looked back into his history, and he did not always wear like form-fitting clothes, or perhaps he didn't always go to the gym and work out as much as he does. But anyway, he's a faith-based minister.
That's spiritual warfare 101. God said it. You ain't got to hear it. Jesus showed us how to do it. Well, I ain't heard the voice of God. You ain't got to hear it. It is written. He said it once. He ain't got to say it again. The words are alive. They jump off of the page and they fight my battles. I just prophesied to 20 people. I said they fight my battles. The word says it is written, and it fights my battles. It gets the devil back off me. It backs the devil up. It is. Oh, he don't like those words. He don't like those words. Before there was binding and loosing, there was it is written.
Herbert.
So yeah, all I'm gonna say about this, and y'all can call me weird or whatever you want, just send your messages to askdrflo@gmail.com. I'm just saying that if I went to a church and the pastor was caked up like this, I would have a hard time focusing on what was going on. And the internet agrees. When I said it out loud, because he does this waving thing like a prophet called Benny Hinn from back in the 80s, where he can wave his hand and the whole audience can fall out, or people in the front row will fall out, and there's faith healings and things, which, you know, I believed in crazier things. But I've just never seen this Texas-based guy, Apostle Ferguson. I've never seen anybody with yams like that in front of a congregation. Some people were saying that like we shouldn't be commenting on it at all because, you know, and his church agrees, because when I commented, I said Benny Hinn with the booty, they blocked me on all of Facebook. His organization
I done told you in the back channels. The peach is the sin, child. The peach is the sin. That booty, she's a sin. You can't
I would not be able to focus with him around. Now, the thing about it is I've worked with people, dancers, professionally, and things like that, with, dated, personally, I've dated athletes and Broadway dancers and things like that. So I know this ass when I see it. It's so you do get used to it after a while. It just caught me off guard online, and I went to look to see if anybody felt the way I did, and they do. Anyway, you're up next with Chopsticks and Power.
If they didn't want us to see the bootay, he would not be wearing the skinny pants that he's wearing, okay? They know what they're doing. Okay.
Yeah, it's in all of the screenshots. Like, I literally, the marketing team, when they do the screen caps for like TikTok and things, and they not blocked me on TikTok. They don't know I'm there still, watching, Benny Hinn with the booty, for entertainment purposes, folks. For entertainment purposes.
Entertainment purposes only.
Alone, as is this podcast and television show and things. Thanks, y'all. Views and opinions are our own and not reflective of anybody else.
Right, exactly.
They know exactly what they're doing. They're either thirst trapping the gays, which I think he's actually anti-LGBTQIA, which I thought was interesting, because he's clearly got a bunch of them in his audience around him. I've seen them personally, without talking to them, of course. But then also, like, if not, then for the gays, because the gays are sinful, and my admiration of the peach is the sin, then they must then be doing his physique and all of this stuff as a thirst trap for the women of God,
which is also a sin. Extramarital engagements.
Or he really likes the fact that he goes to the gym and he just wants to display the perfection of the beauty of God.
Maybe he's a bro in that heart. You know what I mean? He's a jock. Like, he's a jock bro dude. Maybe so. Maybe.
That actually made sense. Listen,
I speak a language.
Well, speaking of bros and power, what about these chopsticks and power? What made you bring
Okay,
this to the table
we
this
watched
week?
the video first because I've fallen in love with this person. And I don't come across their videos very often, but when they feed them to me, when the algorithms decide to feed them to me, I'm like, oh my god. So let us watch this video together, friends. I think Dr. Flo is going to do it for me because he's got magical things. Well, y'all got a sneak preview.
And he uses to talk about power within an empire. Some people are up here, and most of the people are down here. We know who the people are up here, and we know who the people are down here. To center Black and Indigenous women and femmes, trans and gender nonconforming folks, queer folks, disabled, poor, immigrant folks, everyone that we want centered in our movements, we have to actively decenter whites, men, cis people, straights, ableist culture, and the wealthy class. That means decentering them from time, attention, power, space, money, labor, and energy. That means deliberately decentering. This allows us to have more. This allows us to only have one. This is every gender, every class, every ethnicity, race, every ability. This is everyone right here. This is everyone coexisting. This is a more balanced power than this. That is very clear. But the people who are here don't like being here, even though now it's more balanced, because they're used to being here above everyone else. And again, that is even if everyone is here. No one has disappeared. Position has simply changed. That is why when you want to center the people, you have to intentionally and by definition decenter dominant supremacy. White capitalist colonialism equates being the center to supremacy. It values no other option than a single superior entity. So when you think that way, those who have been historically centered see decentering as a direct threat because they see it as a complete devaluing of their purpose. Because to oppressors, supremacy is the only way. But in a liberatory practice, superiority and a singular center are not vital. Decentering and decentralizing are in fact more powerful in community-based work. And if we want to get here, this has to happen. That process has to happen. So dominant demographics have to be decentered because white capitalist colonialism supremacizes them at the cost of everyone else. We must decenter them because we have to decenter supremacy culture itself. All supremacy culture. When we say organize, we also mean build trust to build power. And the trust part wasn't there this time around. That was very clear early on. And so our work is changing. Our next era has to decenter power over and reclaim power with and power within. Chopstick.
You can do it, baby. My child is trying
Number one, my non-binary side, I'm very much married. I'm very much happy. For those of you who keep asking me out over on Blue Sky and Black Sky if I'm single, no, I'm not single. I'm very, very happy. We do not mingle. However, everything non-binary about me says that this person in the hat can get it. Very, very cute person and very cute chopsticks video. I want to pause to talk about chopsticks and power and what we believe is going to be necessary to topple that 1% over and create this even playing field.
I really liked the visual of it. And yes, I do actually very much agree that we need to, obviously, how we go about that, you know? And I think we go about that in the ways we've been talking for a couple weeks about Power of Three. And we were talking about taking like the triangle that you see, right, in this way and turning it sort of this way. And it's a similar thing, right? It's like that, you know, it's not that Dr. Flo is the CEP, but he's also a member of a trio, right? And like, I think when we intentionally create organizations, and this is what AMB talks about, right? And AMB calls it out very directly in Emergent Strategy of like, we're not really creating anything different if we're just creating organizations and movements that are top-down movements in the way that this person is talking about, right? And at the very end, they said, you know, we have to stop cultivating power over and start cultivating power with and within. And I think that is like one of the biggest takeaways, is the way that we can utilize power, and that power. And you know, my experience with this not exclusively started about 4 weeks ago, but there was an Undistracted podcast with Brittany Packnett where they were talking about power, and they were talking about how we can redefine power. And I think, you know, I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Like, we can, you know, there's different kinds of power and da 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 da. But it wasn't so exclusively put like this person just put it, right? Which is, again, power within and power with. That's very different than trying to get power over other people. It's not that we want to replace the people in power, right? It's just that we want a more economical, equal, equitable society. And you know, to point out that doesn't take away from anybody on the top, right? Or currently on the top right now. It just means that we're coming here. It doesn't put them here, which is what sometimes I think we talk about, right? I think a lot of white people, just to be frank, are scared that if we start to tilt, then they're going to be down here where those that are most marginalized and most oppressed by those very same white people are, right? Like, yeah. So that is what I just really liked the concept. And I really liked that it applies to what you and I are collectively building, what we're building individually, what we're seeking out of our businesses, and sort of walking forward in collective coalition and collective power instead of singular power. I'm gonna let you riff. I gotta go. This child decided to take a, so I need to go change some pants again. We'll be back.
All right, we will. We're gonna hide Tara out while she goes and does mommy and me things. Thank you, Tara, for bringing that share of chopsticks and power. We're gonna move forward to Black Project 2025. For those of you who've been following this project over on TikTok, I brought this week to Deconstruction Junction because I think that the work that this young lady's doing is fantastic. There's been so much talk about Project 2025. For those of you who are not aware of that project, that was a very conservative-driven document that wants to reduce the rights of certain citizens in this country. And so, of course, the liberated workers and freedom fighters like myself got together and said, yo, we can do these things even better and build it our way and build it in an equitable and fair way. So this young lady who I'm about to present to you came together on TikTok and began this project called Black Project 2025. And if I did this the right way, here are some of the pieces of that puzzle.
I know it sounds crazy, but this is my vision. What if all of us were to get into a group? Okay, I'm talking doctors, lawyers, engineers. There's so many of us that are so talented, and we were to work together with our own Black agenda for 2025. I'm talking opening up Black-owned grocery stores in certain cities, Black-owned banks, so that way we can actually get our home loans and do what we need to do, our own doctor's offices, our own law practices, and we really were to just congregate and push towards our goals and our outcomes, right? And so this is how I envision it going. We can all get into this group. We can all donate what we have to donate on a monthly basis. And then basically we can have a CEO, we can have a CMO, and we can have a CFO that's in charge of leading the groups with the initiatives, right? We could have bi-weekly, monthly calls in regards to where we stand with our goals. So, okay, guys, we want a Black-owned grocery store in Los Angeles built and developed, August 2025. This is where we stand. This is how much we have funded. This is what's needed. This is where we are in the process. And we just go from there. And so we can just kind of congregate. And then on top of that, In this group, we could also just have a massive directory of Black-owned businesses. So that means that everyone that joins this group swears off of purchasing from these large corporations. I'm talking Black-owned coffee brands, clothing, everything you guys can think of, toiletries, like down to everything, like body washes, everything we use and consume on a daily basis. It is no longer purchased from these large corporations. It is purchased from one another. And I think that we can create so much wealth amongst ourselves just by strictly swearing off of supporting large corporations and only supporting one another, and also congregating to create our own agenda. Now, I know that there have been people who have tried to do this before in the past, and I know that we struggle as a community to trust one another. I don't really care about all that right now. I just personally feel like if we are able to put our pride aside and get it done, I feel like it could be one of the most impactful things done in Black history. Like, maybe there is a silver lining in Kamala not being able to get into office, because as a community, we just become that much more tight knit. Do you get where I'm coming from? I don't know. I know it sounds crazy, but I just feel like this is something that we should do. And I feel like I feel very strongly about the ability for us to transform our community and the perception of, you know, African-American individuals if we were to really finally come together. What if we...
Got one more on deck, you guys.
Time for your VP 2025 update. So I just emailed 60,000 of you. Oh, by the way, the list grew to 60,000 people, but let's go over some metrics. So we got 51,000 unopened emails, and we've got about 8,000 open emails now, and we've got about 929 emails that bounced. The email came from hello@officialbp2025.org. So check your spam, check your promotions, check your primary inbox, because it should be there. And if it's not, you probably gave us the wrong email. If you did give us the wrong email, go to the link in our Instagram bio, and where you see this join the group waitlist, put in your information here. You should get an autoresponder email with the link to the Discord server. Inside that email, I explained the Discord 500 max ticket limit, as well as what we need to ensure a smooth verification process. And I will say, guys, I've been working with the moderating team, and for us to go and do our due diligence on each one of you guys, it's not a quick process, because we're pulling you guys up on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook. If we can't find you, we're asking you guys for more information. And after speaking with the recruiting team, it just doesn't make sense for us to have 20 moderators, because there's a list of over 60,000 people. So we're bumping that number up to 50 moderators. Don't worry, we've got over 1,500 people that applied to be moderators, so we don't need more people to apply. But that's a really big initiative for us. So check your emails, read the email thoroughly. It should be there. If you didn't get it, you put your email in wrong, go to the link in bio, join the waitlist.
So yeah, that's Black Project 2025. Even beyond the project in and of itself, I'm happy to see people not giving up on the future. I'm happy to see that folks are not just saying, "Oh well, the next 4 years is going to be, you know, in the hands of some other decision-making person or factor outside of themselves." They're saying, if this is something we want to do, then let's do it. Let's get the Discord servers, which of course we also have here, and let's start to just call in the kinds of conversations and connections and people that we want to be with. And I love, the reason why I'm featuring this this week is because I'm really enjoying seeing little baby coalitions. Now, I said baby coalition. She's got a list of 60,000 people and a team.
But it all started somewhere. Like, I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, we saw it when she had, 1,500 people interested. We saw it when she had 900 people interested. Like, it starts somewhere. And to the point of Heather something Cox, she's in my inbox. Hang on. Heather Cox Richardson, who we were listening to on Stacey Abrams' podcast. Like, the online organization is a thing. Like, and maybe, you know, I see a lot of people having the discussion right now, like, does online replace IRL? Does it replace IRL? Can we use it? And I think in some aspects, like, this is a way that we can communicate and connect with more people than we ever could before. I mean, in a similar way, like Dr. Flo and I have literally never met in person. And those of you that are, you know, somewhere, hang around us at any point, or even just watch these or our joint boosts or whatever, like, you know that we are close, you know what we, you know, like, you know what we're building. And so, like, that is all a result of an online relationship that still has not ever met in person, right? And so the other thing I think about, you know, this particular Project 2025, and that I appreciate about her, and maybe it's just because, or them, that maybe it's just their position. I think they say they're like an ads manager or something like that, but like, they're not panicking about the number of people. Like, sometimes I feel like if I get too much interest on something, it's a catch-22 that we've talked about before, right? It's like, you don't get enough interest, so you're like, I'm gonna forget that idea. And then you get too much interest and you're like, oh my God, stop, goodbye, I gotta go back in my hole, I'm a little too big, right? Like, that's it. But she's just like, yeah, no problem, 60,000, 1,500 people applied. You know, this is what we have to do for the Discord. We're bumping it up to 50. And it's just like, it's just so chill. And so it is nice to see someone, you know, that went from nothing, right, to this humongous organization that I believe will continue to grow and not fizzle out, and not panic about it, and not, you know, as we joke about in our network often, not burn the garden, not, you know, turn over all the tulips. She's just going with it. So yeah, I've enjoyed watching that begin to build and keep building.
It is very, very, very exciting to watch. And it is a symbol to me that if you want something bad enough, you want to build a team bad enough, if you have a strong idea, and people gathering around it, I mean, the sky's the limit. And it also harkens back to one of our key teachings in Love in Action Network of ask for help and don't stop asking until you get it. There will always be people who want to rally with you around your causes and ideas. You just have to organize. And you reminded me in this conversation that community organizing online is a job. Online organizing is an actual job. And I hope that young lady gets paid, and I hope I get paid, and I hope everyone who's helping to bring humans together online in these devices, I hope that we all see great things happen for us and to us. All right, Tara's in mommy mode, so I'm going to come over here and just jump a subject in. Oh, are you back? Let's talk about defend and extend.
Yes, let's read the text. It's on the next slide, or should be on the next slide, I think. Oh, too far. Okay, so it says, remember, colonizers branded those defending their ancestral lands as hating white people. Enslavers Enslavers framed abolition as harmful to white people. Lynchers cast black empowerment as white disempowerment. Segregationists labeled desegregation as anti-white. Political players, terms, mediums have changed. The playbook for cultivating white anger to defend and extend the structure of racism has remained the same.
Could you read it one more time? And like, if I were director, you know, I only direct part-time with my life in the theater, dramatag, if you will. Could you read it a clip slower and from the top? Because it's meaty, and we're gonna have to literally deconstruct. And thank you to Tracy Bala for joining us in the back channel. Tara saying hi, Tracy. Tara is on stage today with us, Sherry, over on YouTube and Facebook, and Tracy's here in back channel. We're very grateful. Yes, please read that again slowly so that we can try to tease us apart. Every Saturday, every weekend, we come together and really kind of bring the things that we've seen out in the wild and the ideas that we're trying to deconstruct as we do every day on TikTok over the coffee. So yeah, thank you for being here. And one more time, Tara, that's incredible.
Yeah. So this is Ibram X Kendi, by the way, who when I tell you everything that they post is complicated and dense and yummy. And I love, and the last thing I'll say before I read it again, I love Ibram because recently they got in trouble with their nonprofit, like, and it was like this whole thing of like, oh, this black man, da 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 da, you know, and of course everybody comes for a black man. And you know, it was kind of like a quote unquote cancellation. And I love that they're still showing up with things like this on the internet, remaining radical and just saying, you know, I'm going to continue this way just because y'all didn't like what I did, or, you know, whatever.
Some of us have been canceled so many times that you can't really like, I'm one of those people, like, okay, so you cancel me on a Saturday, come back tomorrow to cancel me again.
Right.
Like we're going to say the things that need to be said, because saying the things is the just and sacredly righteous thing to do.
Right. And sometimes you're going to sing them and somebody is going to come back daily. Anyway, that's another thing. But I think you knew who I was talking about. All right. So remember, colonizers branded those defending their ancestral lands as hating white people. Enslavers framed abolition as harmful to white people. Lynchers cast black empowerment as white disempowerment. Segregationists labeled desegregation as anti-white. Political players' terms, mediums have changed. The playbook for cultivating white anger to defend and extend the structure of racism has remained the same. It just says it all in the thing. It just says it. Like, we could talk about how the latest iteration of this is Donald Trump and Matt Gaetz and, you know, whatever that dude's name, what's that dude's name? Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk. Like, these people are the new political players, but the playbook itself is the same and remains the same. And it goes back to the chopsticks and power conversation, which is like the view that the few at the top, when we start talking about equity and equality, believe that means that we just want to flip over, you know, and put those in power at the bottom, which coincidentally is exactly what is happening in Israel, right? Israel was quote unquote built, some people's definition, as a safe haven after the Holocaust, right? And Israel has become the oppressor because all it did was take the powerful. It took the people on the bottom, put them on the top, and they became exactly what the people that were oppressing them were. And so I just think this is particularly, like, in so many ways, this is so timely when we're coming up on Thanksgiving, when we're coming up on, another 14 months. It'll be 14 months of the genocide in Gaza in just a few days. And, like the way that joy and hope and equality and equity and these things are always branded because of supremacist colonial culture, as our earlier feature said, is always relabeled as anti-white, hatred, anger. It's always rebranded, right? This is just, it's it.
It is it. When I dare to say that God did not have chosen people, I was canceled from my Broadway show. they labeled me as a disempowering person. They labeled me as a hater because I chose to say out loud that God, if you even believe in God, that energy does not have a chosen people who are allowed to dominate the earth in oppressive and genocidal ways. That's just not how love is set up for me. And they fired my black ass from Broadway for that.
Soft fired.
So yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy when the soft firing still feel like a ass kicking.
I hear that.
It's because to be rejected for who you are and for what you can bring and for what you can offer, when you offer it in good faith and you know that you can help lift the project, it is a slap in the face.
It is.
Doesn't feel so hot. This is why we're constantly reaffirming in this network and on programs like this, I'm enough. You are enough. We are enough. We don't have to justify our worthiness or how awesome we are to these muggles.
Truth.
Not ever. Speaking of not needing to justify how awesome we are, let's talk a bit about what it means to adopt a black artist. And somewhere in the notes here, I'm going to jump over one of the conversations. I think that this would be a great time to illustrate this point by talking about Black Friday Biz Blitz.
Let's do it. But also we could talk directly about the Adopt a Black Artist because we are going to be doing that. So with the exception of Black Friday, every Friday through the end of the year, I, at least on my pages and the Love in Action page, because I have access to it, will be featuring a Black artist. And I actually, I don't love to bring up the Salvation Army because they're very anti-LGBTQIA plus, like, not the best organization. Find a different organization to give your money to. Y'all know the drill. There are ones that are not painted in Christian hate. Ooh. But anyway, the Salvation Army does do this, right? They put Christmas trees and they put little ornaments, and you go grab an ornament and it says on the back, this is definitely what this person wants, da, 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 and you go buy it and you wrap it. And like when I lived in Omaha, there was like this radiothon and it wasn't through the Salvation Army, but it was called Adopt a Family. And so you would call in, you would get your family, you would get all the information for their address, and this was an every year thing for my family. We would adopt a senior and we would adopt a family of 4. And so we would go to their homes and have coffee with the seniors and give them what they wanted. And then we would go to the families and drop those off. And so it was just, it's something that like really is deep in my family. And Dr. Flo brought it up a couple weeks ago and I was like, oh my God. And I actually sent one to Ops earlier today, which is an example. It's in Black Duck. It's at the Black Duck Floral and Gift, which I love. You guys make beautiful, beautiful, beautiful floral gifts for my mother and my grandmother when I call you, and I so appreciate you. But it says for $19.99 you can give the gift of a small Christmas plant to the residents of the Good Samaritan Society in Black Duck. And so this is the kind of thing that we're trying to cultivate. We will be finding Black artists of all types and asking them exactly what they need for this holiday season to get through, or just what they want, and we'll be featuring that on our pages. The Black Friday Biz Blitz is a daily...
Pause. My apologies. The genesis of the Adopt a Black Artist initiative coming through Love in Action Network in partnership with Tara Paolo Studio is that everyone that we know has access to social media and the ability to post and amplify. We're not talking about you finding a Black artist or someone in an underrepresented community and cash apping them $5,000. However, if that's what you want to do, $ Dr. Flo Funds, and also Tara's $. If that's what you are into. What we're talking about is just passing along the information of a Black artist to your network. It could be a post, it could be a reel, it could be you putting Love in Action Network or Tara Paolo's work or my work in your Instagram story for free. And I got really frustrated on the tail end of this Olympics, well, the political Olympics.
The Olympics and the election.
I got so burnt out because I'm like, yo, we're not doing the free shit. We're not supporting people in the ways of just saying, hey, this is something that I think is cool. Are you interested as well? And so I want to challenge, especially all of the ruling class looking people and artists to, for free, platform someone who doesn't look like you. And to let the world know that you've got talented friends and a talented network. And so in under an hour last night, I watched the fiercely talented Tara Praolo studio come together and curate an amazing project that she can introduce to you now, as long as I do my job.
Yeah. And I think I added the first slide on the next page, but Black Friday Business Blitz, this is something that I do in Black History Month, I do in Women's History Month, and I say to everyone, Black History and Women's History is literally year round, and then I don't do anything else until the next Black History Month and Women's History Month. So, but last year I did do a post or two during the Black Friday season, which by the way starts on Pink Friday, which is the Friday before Thanksgiving, and it travels all the way through Cyber Monday, which is the Monday after Black Friday. So the Monday after Thanksgiving. And so I did post like, hey, drop your stuff below, drop your favorites, and curated quite a list, but I didn't put it anywhere last year because I didn't have the things that I have now, like my Substack and like the want to really both have my voice on my platforms, but also really be, as Dr. Flo was talking about, really be the example of what does it look like to have these artists take over your social media. I mean, I do it during Winterludes, right? Like it's my students, it's Dr. Flo, it's, I think this year I have 5 other people that are submitting from across the internet and across the world even. Somebody's like in the Netherlands, like, it's crazy. Somebody's in Canada, like there's just a lot, So Black Friday Business Blitz is a daily occurrence that will have bunches of Black, Indigenous, and or trans businesses listed and tagged in the captions, and you can drop your favorites, you can drop more. I'll put up question boxes in my stories, and then over on my Substack, Lift Every Voice Substack, you'll be able to find deeper information, their websites, and if I can find them, any Black Friday offers that they may be offering. And this is also an effort to share, to put funds back into the Black community, because so often our funds during Black Friday, and I know how easy it is. Like I totally plan to shop at Nanomax, which is not Black owned, but I love their clothes. I love that they do a 70% off sale, But this is also an effort to say, I am absolutely shopping at the Get Down next week. I am absolutely shopping at Juvia's Place next week. I'm absolutely going to buy something from Fenty next week. I'm absolutely going to purchase something from the Black bookstore here in town. Like there are so many small and large, and Eco Slay, right? Like these are
now might be also the opportunity and the opportune time for Dr. Flo to put some t-shirts out for people to get for the holidays and things like that. Yeah, I think that Tara is mommying. So yeah,
replace a bottle, but yes. We dropped the bottle, and this is the new feature of feeding themselves often goes well, but when we drop the bottle, we haven't associated like I dropped the bottle and I can get it again. It's I dropped the bottle and you have to come help me. So now I
hate it when that happens.
When I drop the bottle. Drop the bottle. There's no one there to pick it up for me. I got to scream about it.
Usually it's glass these days. With very old grape juice.
There you go. Old.
Very vintage grape juice.
Vintage grape juice. I hope it doesn't have mold in it. But yeah, so anyway, I encourage you all to share these into your stories. If you're interested, I am going to provide a link to the Canva, so you can just download the slides and share them on your page if you so choose, so that we can just really do a blitz. I just thought of that right now, but I feel like it's a good idea. I'm going to put it up on my Lift Every Voice and drop it, on my Facebook and into my broadcast channel and stuff, and really just get the movement going, because it really is about, we say, we kind of joke around that follows don't matter, and we joke around, it doesn't really matter where we spend our money, or we can't really get out of capitalism. But one way that we can work inside of capitalism is by being very intentional with where we're spending our dollars, and where we're putting our time. And on our social media, we can really, you can get some things going. I don't have the biggest platform in the world. I really don't. But when I tell you that when I do features like this, like I said, I do them literally all February long and all March long, and oftentimes some days in June as well for LGBTQIA plus Pride Month, right? It really makes a difference. It really makes a difference in my community, because then my community is looking for who are the Black and brown and trans people that I can spend my money with this season, when we're all spending extra money because it's a giving season, right? So, yeah.
We've always had the power to make the difference in each other's lives. We've always had that power. We've always had the power to raise voice. We've always had the power to support. We've always had the power to encourage. So very, very good. All right. I want to move forward into some additional topics that we have in this week's Deconstruction Junction. These are a few things that we did not get to last week because we ran over time. And so I may blaze through a bit. If you got any questions or you want to chat us up, do so in the comments. We would love to get to know everybody better as we build. We're in our third year of working here to build online community and in real life community. And so thanks for being along the journey with us. Every organization that that does this kind of work started with one follower, with one person subscribing, and then things just grow. So we're grateful for your participation today. I wanted to share this. I'm going to need to expand my screen so that I can actually read it for you all. I saw this online. This is from Clarence Jordan's paraphrase using the original Greek written in the Cotton Patch Gospel. This is his version of the Beatitudes. The spiritually humble are God's people, for they are citizens of God's new order. Those who are deeply concerned are God's people, for they will see their ideas become reality. Those who are gentle are God's people, for they will be God's partners across the land. Those who have an unsatisfied appetite for the right are God's people, for they will be given plenty to chew on. Generous are God's people, for they will be treated generously. Those whose motives are pure are God's people, for they will have spiritual insight. Those of peace and goodwill are God's people, for they will be known throughout the land as God's children. Those who have endured much for what's right are God's people. They are citizens of God's new order. You all are God's when others call you names and harass you and tell all kinds of false tales on you just because you follow me. And of course, love is what we're following. Be cheerful and good-humored because your spiritual advantage is great, for that's the way they treated people of conscience in the past. And I think it was Tracy who was in here saying about, way up in the comments, about how the playbook of how people have been operating in society has been there the whole time. So it's so important that we just stand strong, because the people who wanted to liberate the slaves and the people who wanted to liberate the women, and now us who want to liberate the disabled trans people, and the people of color, and liberate the people of Palestine who just want to be happy, healthy, and free like everyone else. We've always had to figure out a way to be cheerful and good humored, and find the spiritual advantage in it, because these are crazy times. Anything about that heavy text? I know you don't believe in God at all. I only believe in God on Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. So technically, I'm not supposed to be believing in God today too. And this text was a little heavy on that. So, I mean, any comments about that before we move to the next slide?
You should have been on Boost yesterday, because day 6 was very God heavy.
Yeah, on Fridays I believe in God. So I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you should have called me.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't have that.
Okay, this one doesn't turn her crank. So we're gonna move to the next one. The next one is all about the paradox of tolerance.
And
I'll read.
it's smaller than the last one.
It is ridiculous. I apologize, folks. I am. Oh wow, that didn't make it any better. It just. Okay. Here's what it says. If you want a copy of this, the podcast will love it because I'm reading it. But the people who are viewing it are like, "What is this?" I didn't bring my magnifying glass in here, Dr. Flo. It says, the paradox of tolerance is a philosophical concept suggesting that if a society extends tolerance to those who are intolerant, it risks enabling the eventual dominance of intolerance, thereby undermining the very principle of tolerance. The paradox was articulated by philosopher Karl Popper in The Open Society and Its Enemies in 1945, where he argued that a truly tolerant society must not tolerate those who promote intolerance. Popper posited that if intolerant ideologies are allowed unchecked expression, they could exploit open society values to erode or destroy tolerance itself through authoritarian or oppressive practices. I'm going to read that last part one more time. Popper posited that if intolerant ideologies are allowed unchecked expression, and there's a picture here below for those of you who are watching over on YouTube and Facebook, where in the middle there's a person wearing a red outfit and a person wearing a blue outfit, and you've got a guy with a rifle and a Confederate flag on his t-shirt. You've got a Klans person and a police officer. You've got a trans person, a black person, an LGBTQIA person, and in the middle these people are saying, "Can't we all just be friends?" No, we cannot all be friends because of this paradox of intolerance. This idea that when intolerant ideologies are allowed unchecked expression, they could exploit open society values. They could erode and destroy tolerance itself through authoritarian and oppressive practices. What say you about this paradox of intolerance and how we cannot put up with bullshit?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've talked about this a lot. Well, maybe not a lot, but a bit, which is like how to, I guess when I think about this, I always kind of think about how people bastardize religion. Like cults of religion are, and every religion is a cult, but I'm talking about like the Kool-Aid ones. And like the children of God ones.
Wait. Oh, I was like, oh,
like you know what I'm talking about?
I was like, aren't they all cool? I was like, aren't they all Kool-Aid ones? But, oh, you're talking about like the dead, unalive Kool-Aid ones.
Yeah.
Deep, yeah.
Deep. And yeah, like Waco, like them, like that's bastardized religion. Y'all know that, right? That ain't real religion. It's not. Okay. I'm glad we're coming to that agreement. And I also think about, I really think about the bastardization of like anything that isn't quote unquote the power, right? And the tolerance of that versus the tolerance of like actual culture, an actual religion, and actual things that help people. And then I think about Gene Lee talking about everybody deserves to eat. And I think about this and I'm like, yeah, everybody does deserve a seat at the table, but how do we go about approaching these people that are not ready to change, right? Are not ready to heal, are not ready to accept that they are being intolerant, that they are brainwashed in that way, that they are being weird, that they are like, and that's what it is at its root is weird, right? It's weird that some of y'all have the beliefs that you believe. That is weird. It's weird. It's weird to believe that you cannot live your life because someone is living their life different than you. That's weird. That's a weird, intolerant belief that you have.
It's also weird that it disrupts the foundation of who they are, and like it actually they
you can't have that.
They can't even have a cup of coffee, without being disrupted by someone else, like a stranger's lifestyle.
My nose ring upsets some people, right? Tattoos upset some people. Like that's weird. It's just weird. So yeah, I mean, there's a discussion going on. I've seen it mostly on TikTok, but this discussion of like white people who voted not for Trumpykins, being like, we're going to stop talking to those of our family that did vote for Trumpykins. And there's a whole bunch of people that are like, nah, you should stay in it. You should stay friends with those people. You should stay in, contact with these people. And then there's other people saying that we shouldn't. And, it's a pretty interesting, because it's a white responsibility. Like, y'all got to educate your people, y'all got to do that. And if you there's no other option like that. Like, they don't listen to us. They don't even listen to me. And I'm happy, y'all. So like, it's an interesting conversation, because no, we cannot be friends if you cannot agree that I deserve to live. If I can agree that you deserve to eat with your hateful, bigoted, disgusting beliefs, then you can believe, even with your hateful, disgusting, bigoted beliefs, that I too deserve to eat. And if you cannot believe that, then I don't know how you sit at my table. I don't know how you come to dinner. I don't know how we have a discussion. I don't know how we be friends, because you don't believe that I deserve to live.
It reminds me of someone who offered me a racially charged rope this week on Facebook. And one of my friends in the comment was like, is this what I think it is? I was like, yeah, it's 2024. And I am personally being offered a rope, a racially charged rope, in writing, in public, because I choose to advocate for equity and inclusion and justice for all humans whose hearts beat. So yeah, it's nuts out here, folks. It's really wild out here. All right, moving along. Nothing to see here. Asada Shakur was spot on about liberals. She said, and I quote, very controversial character, by the way, as far as I'm concerned, liberal is the most meaningless word in the dictionary. History has shown me that as long as some white middle-class people can live high on the hog, take vacations to Europe, send their children to private schools, and reap the benefits of their white skin privileges, then they are liberals. But when times get hard and money gets tight, they pull off that liberal mask, and you think you're talking to Adolf Hitler. They feel sorry for the so-called underprivileged just as long as they can maintain their own privileges. Oh, child. We talk about this a lot here, the ethnography of whiteness, and how people are able to kind of shift in and out of when they want to help. And this is why I've encouraged our network and people here to ask for help and not to stop asking of people of all backgrounds and beliefs. Because at the end of the day, people can say that they are supportive of you and then not support you. But meanwhile, you can meet a stranger today or tomorrow that can help you make your dream come true. And so, yeah, I wanted to stop here to say that when people start professing that they're liberal or that they are helpful, start to ask them where the receipts are. There's a lot of well-meaning and well-intentioned ruling class looking people here where I'm currently based, but we still have work to do as far as connecting the dots and bridging into actual work that is productive for everyone here and what we want to do with LIA. And the talking is over. It's time to put that love in action. What say you about white liberals?
I think enough Black people have said that they are dangerous that we should believe that they are dangerous. And I also believe the quote that Black people know more about white people than white people know about themselves. So there's that.
There's that. Okay, next slide. This is from Joel Leon. We have to get back to making things. And I don't mean things for consumption. I mean flyers. I mean zines. Shout out to Eli for the reminder that zines were a radical way for us to find community and provide information to others. We have to make and build things with our hands. Multi-generational community events, putting on shows and programming for entertainment and discourse. We literally have to rethink the entire strategy for liberation, and we don't have to look far. An elder paved the course for us already. Next slide. If there's one thing that the church got right, it's always been its ability to bring both young and elder folks together for a common conversation and cause. We desperately need that in our communities, and it does not have to exist inside of a church. It could be at a coffee house. It could be at a public park or library. It could be at your local bookstore or your local event space. What would it look like to build out an evening that was also in support of communities, such as an open mic that also served as a mutual aid for those needing rental assistance or health coverage? Last slide. It is no longer just shop local. It's about supporting local spaces that enable community activity with a purpose grounded in liberation and love. Your wealth, your degrees, your title, your job, none of that will save you. Only community will. What say you, Paolo?
I think we have to learn how to be in community with each other. I think there's a lot of people talking about community that don't know what the hell a community is. And they don't know how to be in a community that doesn't give them an echo chamber. I think that they don't know how to be in a community that pushes back on them. I think they don't know how to have an actual conversation. And I agree that it does not matter. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter how much good you've done up until today. If you've done it alone, or if you're actively negating the people that helped you get there, it will not save you. It will not save you. Only community will. Only the people around you are able, as Dr. Flo talks about a lot, like, you have to have people to have de-arrests. You have, like, there is no, like, I'm being arrested, I'm gonna like, it doesn't work without other people, folks. Right? And we do have power in numbers, but the other thing that we don't talk enough about, I feel like, when we're talking about community and we're talking about having communal spaces, is this idea that when we're talking about being in true community, when we're talking about being community being a healer, what we are actively throwing away is the individualistic mindset and brainwashing and propaganda that capitalism has told you all your life. Right? There is no amount of pulling yourself up by the bootstraps that is actually going to make you better. No amount. Only community will. And it has to be true community. It's not a community that asks you to pay in money. It's a community that asks you to pay in your thought, in your communication, in your connection, in your gifts, in, like, It is not just money. And that's, like, this is where I come for the church. I listen. Most of the time, that's not true community. It's artificial community. It is a community that asks you to pay a penance to be a part of it, to suffer to be a part of it, right? To give all of you to get nothing back. That's not community. That's not what community asks of you. Community asks you to give of your overflow, never of your principle. And we got to figure that out.
Yeah, Tracy's over here in the back of house over on TikTok saying true community is thought, action, deed, and time. Yeah, we say here time, talent, and treasure. And you may not have the treasure, right? But you may have time, and you may have talent. You may not have talent. You may just have time. All this stuff is important for coalition building. All right, we're almost there, folks. This was so much fun. Tara wants to talk about Thanksgiving and genocide as a family table discussion. Take it away.
Yes. Okay. So I was in my Facebook memories, as I do once a day, every day. And I saw that Thanksgiving was apparently this day last year, or like somewhere within the range. I don't know exactly when it was. But what I was asking people to do was actually acknowledge that what you're celebrating, like if you are celebrating Thanksgiving, I need y'all to know that you are celebrating the massacre and genocide of the indigenous people in America. That's what I need y'all to know. And I had equated it to what is happening in Gaza and saying that, the way that if we can talk about what this really was, then we can talk about Gaza at our family dinner tables. We can have dinner together. We can take the day off work. We can enjoy the rest that is given to us. And we can make sure we're telling the truth about what Thanksgiving really is. Right? And that's I just want to encourage you all to have the hard conversations and don't let up on letting people Pollyanna, right? We are not celebrating Thanksgiving. We're not celebrating genocide. We are taking a look at what we can do today to right the wrongs that were done in the past, right? Thus the Black Friday business blitz, including indigenous businesses. Yeah.
We also want to boldly declare for ceasefire within and outside of ourselves. So that's a conversation also. Why does Thanksgiving symbolize such violence against indigenous people and violence that's still happening against people? Like, maybe the conversation can be, what can we do in our families and in our communities to stop all the violence that's been happening from Thanksgiving origin days to now? And I think that's something we're talking about, not just solely the disintegration of people groups and things like that, but like what's ultimately going to bring us together. And I think it's going to be love that is the answer. And boldly declaring, once again, ceasefire in our hearts and also in the world. It's time for announcements, folks. So I'm going to switch screens over and show you our online hub for Love in Action Network. Of course, once again, we are a peer support organization to encourage, equip, and empower the radical talents, time, and treasures of bold dreamers. We're thankful to Tara for co-hosting Deconstruction Junction today. For those of you who tuned in live, we'll see it over on Substack as a television show and also on Spotify as the podcast. We're grateful for your participation. You're amazing. Over on our link in bio at lovedandlovable.bio.link, you'll get real-time team updates through Blue Sky, the opportunity to RSVP to our events. Also, our programs are available there for you. Our communication channels, our store, 300 plus episodes of podcast and newsletter articles. The opportunity to audition and apply with us here. You can discover more about our team, resource pages, donations. I mean, it just goes on, and also support desk and live chat. So If you are interested in connecting with us and what we are building, this is like a 25-year project of outreach to come. So if you're interested in jumping in, you can do so over on our website. My closing thoughts are that you are loved and lovable. You've always been loved and lovable, and you're always going to be loved and lovable for the rest of your life. And no one can change that, folks. There are going to be so many people in the external world and so many cultural forces through television and other media. It's going to try to tell you who you are and what you deserve that is good in this life. Do not fall for the okie doke. Do not allow them to program you into feeling less than. I've seen some quotes online. Don't obey before the command. Like don't obey, don't surrender before being asked to. Stand up, stand tall, stand in your joy, stand in your power. Stand in the fact that you are enough. Stand in the fact that you are loved and lovable. Very, very, very important. Tara, what are your closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Just keep on keeping on, folks. I know it can seem like in some of this work that you're alone, but I assure you that we're out here. It's just an active suppression of our voices. We're out here. And we're not hard to find. That's the thing. We're not hard to find. And stick with us even when it makes you uncomfortable. That's what I got.
We are a growth network, and sometimes growth is painful, but at least we have each other. You don't want to be out here wandering through life, having, your religious thoughts fall apart, your political thoughts fall apart, and your dream thoughts fall apart, and not have active community that wants to see you come back together. We fall apart sometimes on camera in a teary, blubbery mess every day here in the network. But in addition to falling apart, when you have community, you can then fall together. And that's kind of this great dichotomy of life, is that we're all falling apart, but things are also falling together at the same time. So we want to thank y'all for watching today. Visit our website again, lovedandlovable.bio.link to tap into our brilliance. And on behalf of Poppy Water 33 and the House of Mommy Water, Tara Praolo Studio and the Praolo Foundation, and myself, Andre and the Flow on all platforms, we wish you a wonderful rest of your weekend. And always remember, as I've just said, to stay in your power, stay in your joy, and stay loved and lovable. We will see all of you